So let's ponder on these three words, huh? Three of the most loosely translated words in the English diction: friend, love, and Christian. And it's crazy because my intuition gave me a funny feeling about the response that I would get on this one. Because when I first started out on this mission, I had a pretty good definition of the position that this particular word was given, the title that was driven, and the magnitude of its provisions. And excluding my own opinionated psychological cognition, I understood that its terms, policies, and conditions were a lot less concerned about the words that I speak. Scriptures I quote. Even constructing my own theological erudition by allowing religion to make revisions of a word that was written long before my existence was ever brought to fruition. But rather, the intentions focuses more of its attention on the substantiated sufficiency of the lifestyle I'm living. How efficient is my ability to listen to its true law instead of the deficiency of sanctimonious church traditions, which in opposition subconsciously separates her doctrines, customs, practices, and dispositions from the immaculacy of true biblical rendition. So my question is, how deep is my submission to its requisition? How accurate is my persistence to its precision? Will I elaborate my own salvation as an excuse to loosen integrity from its constrictions? Do I follow its ordinances, precepts, and commissions, or do I abuse its consent, allowances, and permissions? Do I use this as a tool to popularize my own ambitions as poet, artist, rhetorician, speaker, teacher, academician? Do I obey its ethics, or do I reject its prohibitions? And when I do happen to fall, does my heart subject itself to true brokenness and contrition, or will I bastardize God's grace? As justification for trying to be Christ-like and hypocrite in juxtaposition without exercising any iniquitous dereliction, monopolizing his forgiveness as a get-out-of-jail-free card, sin remission. So there's no way that I can be exempt from this interdiction and act as though I have divine jurisdiction to hand out these harsh admonitions when this particular word's convictions obligates me to look in the mirror and rid myself of these bigoted premonitions and realize that the criterion of its restrictions prevents me from looking down on someone else with my own accusations and unreasonable suspicions, and come to the full admission that if I tilt my nose at someone else as if they are inferior, with my own condescending depictions I have perverted, corrupted, and have taken sincere, irrevocable purity away from the word Christian. Now, who sits in here that are among you that can really say that they're Christian, huh? Who can really say that they love Christ, huh? Especially if you are boldly professing to be what your heart does not possess you to be, aggressively telling people that they're going to hell if they do not properly confess to be Christian, making yourselves to be the kind of person that comes to service on Sunday and leave without showing any implication of the effect that it had on you from Monday through Saturday. It seems like your former days does not solicit you to change in these latter days as long as you come to church, huh? You don't feel the need to take heed to what the pastor says, so you decide to revise the script and ad-lib the role like the actor plays, using Christianity to cover up your filth like a masquerade. And it appears as though this type of fraudulence has accumulated a mass crusade of people who have become good at faking it till they make it so that they can get all the glory, the honor, and the accolades. So when the lost soul comes to church, you set up a barricade because you feel like the person doesn't look right. Well, can somebody in here tell me what a Christian is supposed to look like? All of a sudden, I can't get the invite because I would appear to be the church-going type. However, if I wanted to make a large contribution with my debit card, you would not think twice to run to go get a mechanical device for an ATM to show me where I can swipe. It makes you wonder, is Christianity all that God is cracked up to be? Or is it just a bunch of hype? I'm supposed to be a lamp that shines bright in a dark world with blind sight. However, in hindsight, if I continue to present myself deceptively claiming to be right, I am no more than a false disciple who transforms himself into an apostle of Christ. And no wonder, for Satan himself is able to be transformed into an angel of light. And it's so unfortunate that there's a disproportionate metamorphosis of people who call themselves Christians who are insubordinate to God's ordinance. So when the unsaved comes to church, they're wondering, is this really God's house or Satan's orphanage? Spiritually. Spiritually lynching the non-believers before they can become born again, we have become mass abortionists, abusing our authority to get money by raising an extra offering in order to get more of it, accepting excessive deposits to profit our pockets, got people thinking that we're prophets when we are mentally extortionate. Please forgive me if I seem to be a bit vitriolic, because I believe in bringing in all the tithes and offerings into the storehouse so that they can be shelter for the homeless, church funding, and food for the poorhouse. But it appears as though ministry has become a new hustle that's being birthed out of the Lord's house, where the preachers are the pimps, the congregations are the prostitutes, and the sanctuary has become the whorehouse. And Jesus has now become the new sales pitch, totally undermining the nail prints in his nailed wrists, just like Judas's betrayal. Kiss. Totally disrespected the one who gave us the nostrils to inhale with. It is only to my detriment if I continue to display a self-indulging decadence that will bring about a resonance of foolishness that will be made prevalent to a people who always hear the proclamation of Christ but constantly sees the negligence. They hear me talking about faith, but my actions contradict the evidence, so they sit back and observe me acting outside of my own hypocritical element, just as the mischievous child reverts back to the old pattern of his own behavioral petulance. I am the dog that vomits and returns to consume its own excrement. And consider the word Christian, A word that was once esteemed to be highly revered is now beginning to become more irrelevant. In my question to you, ladies and gentlemen, while living in the midst of this violent land amok, will the real Christian please stand?